Right, welcome along everyone to the Salt and Sauce podcast, talking about Edinburgh's two football clubs. Myself as a Hearts fan, Robert here as a Hibs fan. Obviously, only one game to go through this weekend. One team couldn't quite make it to the semi-finals, so we focus on that. And as you can see, we're joined by a special guest. But it's a very special guest for a couple of reasons, but we'll come to that in a second. But Bob, kick us off. We've got two sponsors to talk about today. If you'd like to introduce the first.
Yeah, so we have AW Decor for all your painting and decorating needs. They cover East Lothians and Fife. So just hit them up if you are getting any painting and decorating done.
And our second sponsor is actually joining us today because not only is he sponsoring us, but he is a dirty, filthy Aberdeen fan as well. Dave, introduce yourself.
Hi there, everyone. So, yeah, my name is David, managing director at Mintbox Removals. I had these lovely gentlemen approach me for sponsorship, so I had absolutely no option but to decline and support them in their quest to enjoy everything that is Hibs and Hearts and Scottish football, which is I'm a big fan of. Anybody that knows me know as long as you support a team outside the old firm, then you're good for me, and I'm more than happy to engage with any of you.
And you're saying that's someone who's married into a Rangers family, Dave?
Correct. I mean, it involves in a big Rangers family, and we can get onto that later. It has been challenging.
Well, no, I suppose actually to kick off with that, do you enjoy it?
Do I enjoy?
Well, that's an open question, whether it's the bamming up or the other side of it.
Yeah,
Like,
I mean, I think looking back, obviously, for those that don't know, myself, Stuart, and Robert were all at school together, and I was very identified early on as the man we love to hate. So, I naturally became somebody that could, engage and wind up situations when and if needed. And yeah, I've always thrived in that role. And again, I've got one story from yesterday that you'll enjoy. That was extremely obnoxious, and yeah, you'll enjoy that. But I can tell you that later on.
We'll come on to that then. Cool. Well, yeah. So obviously, the main focus for today's episode is just looking back at the semi-final there and going through all the goals, the man of the match, John Beaton, and then anything else that comes up, Dave. But seeing as how you're the guest there, Robert, I believe you've got a similar item of clothing. You were particularly enjoying Dave's hat.
Yeah, I'm Dave. Can you just lean forward just so the camera can see what it says?
Yeah, just to confirm for anybody watching this or listening, it takes a bit of a double take to actually read what it says. But I got this hat made right at the start of the season. Obviously, the MAGA movement in full flow, and it says "Make Aberdeen Great Again."
Brilliant.
And as you know, from the start of the season, it was a serious movement. It was gaining a lot of traction. We were winning games. There was a feel good factor, and the whole of Aberdeen were fully behind it. So yeah, no, it's a hat that catches a lot of eyes, especially in Tesco's on my Sunday shop. A lot of people look at me and think, "What is he got that MAGA hat on?" And then when they see Aberdeen, they have a wee chuckle to themselves. So yeah, it's a play on words.
I like it a lot.
So it suggests you think Aberdeen currently isn't great, that you need to make it great again.
I think what made me, I mean, obviously I've got from Aberdeen originally, I've got family up there and stuff, and actually the city in general it's been going through quite a few years of hardship economically. It's a one club city, as you know.
A wee bit isolated as well.
It's isolated as well geographically, and I think when the football team's doing well, the city's doing well. I've obviously lived down in Edinburgh here for the majority of my life now, but it's always quite nostalgic going back up. I take my wee boy Charlie now, who's 6. I take him to the home games now and again. We go to most of the away games, and then obviously cup competitions. So Charlie's bought into it, and I obviously it's something I've always enjoyed doing. So yeah, it's a nice thing to be able to do. But yeah, the MAGA joke was an attempt to make Aberdeen great again, as we once were before.
It's great actually. I think all joking aside, forgetting the game on Saturday and forgetting any rivalries between Hibs and Aberdeen or Hearts and Aberdeen or whatever. The whole point of this podcast is getting some Scottish football stuff out there that isn't Rangers and Celtic. Obviously, we're focusing on Edinburgh because that's where we're from. That's our two clubs. So actually, in a way, there's a lot I like about Aberdeen in that their fans are generally speaking supporting their local team. As you say, it is a one club city, so they do always have a good backing. they've got as good a claim as anyone to sort of be, the third force and everything like that in Scottish football. So fair dues, and it's good to have you on as an Aberdeen fan representing the team.
Yeah, I mean, it's something grown up. You probably admit this yourselves. The one fixture you guys probably look at first in the calendar is Hibs v Hearts, and it creates an amazing atmosphere, and it creates a lot of banter to and forth within friendship groups and family within one city. And it is something, I do watch with envy, because Aberdeen, we don't have that. We've created a bit of you could say, a rivalry with Rangers just because of incidents that have happened historically, but it's not the same as having two big clubs in one city, and that's
they're always going to have Celtic as well. You're never going to be their main.
Yeah, we're never going to be there. And and then you look at even Dundee and Dundee United, they've got it. So the big cities in Scotland all have it apart from Aberdeen. So it definitely is something that I look on with a lot of envy and a lot of jealousy when the two teams play each other.
Rob, what's your thoughts? I know that obviously, Dave's bang on there. The first thing you'll look for is Hibs v Hearts, but good memories of Hibs playing Aberdeen, or not necessarily that you necessarily beat them all the time, but enjoyable games.
Yeah, always enjoyable games. They're always high scoring games as well. Usually one team hammers the other, to be honest. So over the years, it's been a real mixed bag, the games against Aberdeen. But one thing I will say is that certainly to Easter Road, the backing that they receive is brilliant. The noise they make, and I don't mind Aberdeen at all. So
you enjoy beating them.
Oh yeah. I enjoy beating them, and obviously they've been thereabouts where Hibs want to be over the past few seasons. I think particularly when kind of McInnes was there as well, they were probably punching above their weight at that time as well. So no, I think Aberdeen are good for Scottish football.
Moving on
guys, can I quickly? This jacket was tailored for me by Funso Ojo that played for Aberdeen, and I'm taking it off because it is really, really thick and warm and heavy duty. And I'm going down here with
No
a little
problem.
bit of, it's hot.
That's fine, because Mintbox, if we had salt and sauce strips, Mintbox would be, along with AW Decker, our sponsor, right on the front there. So that's absolutely fine. And
heavy duty kit.
We've mentioned on quite a few weeks that you've actually moved many of the footballers, including some of the Aberdonian.
Yep. No, we've moved a lot of Scottish footballers, I would say, in the last few years. Alex Gogic. We moved Alex Gogic from Edinburgh through to Hamilton. He's a great guy. Big fan of him. I would have loved to see him sign for Aberdeen. I know he never really kicked off and hit form at Hibernian, but he's certainly coming to his own at St Mirren, and I think he's one of the big reasons that they've reached the top six and are doing so well. He's a solid centre half.
Hibs played him out of position, though, from what I see.
He was played as like a creative centre midfielder at Hibs, whereas you can see him in the back of like he's kind of sweeper position. For St Mirren, he's brilliant. So
yeah,
I know that both of you like a player that's quite happy to take a booking as well.
Yeah, he's an old-fashioned centre half that takes care of a lot of the dark arts and takes care of a lot of business behind closed doors now. Yeah, he's an enforcer. Big fan of him.
Moving on to the game on Saturday. I was at a wedding on Saturday, so I couldn't even watch the game at the time. So I've only I was keeping up on texts, and I've watched the highlights since then. So I'll trust you guys with some of the wider analysis. But Dave, seeing as you're the guest, do you want to kick us off? Were you at the game on Saturday?
Yes. Unlike yourself, Stuart, that is correct. I was at the game supporting my beloved team.
Quite easy to get a ticket, I imagine, for your end.
Yeah. Well, listen, so it's actually we're so different to maybe many of the Aberdeen fans. We joined a Central Belts and Braces supporters club who pull in a lot of fantastic Aberdonians who now live in Central Scotland. So we've got a good solid group of 40 to 50 members scattered throughout Central Belt. So we always meet up, and it works well being an Aberdeen fan that lives in Central Scotland because you get the tickets for a lot of the away fixtures in around Central Scotland. So it's been a good way to see your team because obviously, as you know, Pittodrie's a long drive away. So attended the game, and my point of view. Would you just like my point of view, my sort of analysis of the game?
Yeah, what we normally do is overview and analysis of the game, but also talking about the key points because
Yeah.
obviously I haven't watched the highlights. That's really all I can go off.
Yeah, I mean, I think I got the train through in the morning, and obviously the majority of fans were Jambos, so got speaking to them on the train, and there was a sort of feeling speaking to each other that it was two poor sides meeting each other, and it would be a long, dragged out affair, and the game would be decided on big refereeing decisions or mistakes, and as it happened, that's pretty much the description of the match. I thought Hearts started the game the better side for certain. A lot more of the possession. They were moving it about. They were playing with the right intent. They were going for Aberdeen. I thought it was Mitoff's first game back for Aberdeen in goals. He made a couple of mistakes early on that was bringing on a lot of pressure. And I think in these big pitches like Hampden, defensive errors, goalkeeping errors, you're going to get caught out. And we were lucky, I think, for the first 20 minutes to avoid losing a goal. And then when Aberdeen scored in the 20th minute through the header from Papagay that hit the crossbar from the corner from Leighton Clarkson, again, in these games, I always feel if you get a set piece, whether it's a free kick corner, if you have a plan and a player like Leighton Clarkson, who I would say is one of the few players at Aberdeen who has that real quality when delivering a ball into the box, and his ball for the goal was really good, really good. And obviously, you're up against Craig Gordon, who collects the ball. He's played at Hampden a lot, and actually, if you watch the highlights, Tope Keskinen makes a run. He doesn't sit on the keeper. He just makes a very clever run in front of the keeper just before the ball comes in. And I think it just completely throws Craig Gordon. And then Papagay jumps up, heads it off the crossbar. And of course, unfortunately, it knocks back off, or fortunately for myself, it knocks back off Craig Gordon, which he couldn't have done anything about. So, yeah, unfair to be called an OG because I think Papagay did enough there to head it off the bar and go into the back of the net off Craig Gordon. So I would say it's a Papagay goal. But again, semi-finals, finals, if you can take advantage of a set piece in the way you did there, it takes a lot of pressure off you, especially when you're up against it. Go up, score a corner. It's the Aberdeen fan. It was the Aberdeen end. It was unexpected. So it was we were kind of sat down and then stood up and celebrating, obviously.
The Maroon perspective on that, I do agree with you, Dave. Hart started the better team, but if you get a set piece, you need to make the most of it. And I thought I was going to describe the goal as lucky, but actually I would describe it as bad luck for Hearts that it hits off Gordon. But actually Aberdeen, as you say, it's a really good delivery. It's a really good header that technically he doesn't score it. I know what you mean, but it's a really good header. So he's quite unlucky to hit the bar. And then I would say it's almost as bad luck for Hearts that it comes off Gordon rather than Aberdeen earned their luck a little bit with it.
But I mean, are you happy with the defending for that goal?
No, I think we're a bit static and standing along the 6 yard line. Whereas I'd rather have someone having a bit of run at it. I think that's why he gets the header. And I think any defender, if they've got a run and jump rather than a standing jump, they can test it a lot better. But in saying that as well, it's another one that is a really really good delivery. It could quite easily have just been one that gets knocked away as well, though. And
I mean, if you look at if you're studying Aberdeen over 10, 20 games this season, from an opposition's point of view, and you're looking, right, how can we beat this team or prevent this team from scoring? Leighton Clarkson stands out for me as a player, whether he's taking a free kick, taking a corner, if he's getting the ball in the box, to defend that ball is going to be hard. And he showed that. I mean, the ball was just Craig Gordon, he was thrown. Didn't know what
that's
to do.
another thing that I think 9 times out of 10 Gordon comes to get that. But again, that's why Keskinen's made the run that he's made is to.
I think it just threw him. It was a very clever run. I think it was deliberate, and I think if you've got a set piece plan like that, it's going to give you an edge in a semi-final.
No, I agree. And as much as I would say the whole balance of play, Aberdeen don't deserve that goal. The set piece deserves a goal, even if there's an element of luck as well. So now listen, it is what it is. Frustrating, but
And then as I said before, these games are often decided by one or two moments of quality. And I have to say, I thought Shankland took his goal 10 minutes later, exceptionally well. I said to the Hearts fans on the train on the way through, I said, I really hope he doesn't start for you, because I've just got this feeling whenever he's playing Aberdeen, he has an extra bit of fire in his belly, and he wants the ball in the back of the net, and the first thing he wants to do, and he didn't hang about, was get over to the Aberdeen end and let them know that Shankland had scored against Aberdeen, because obviously he was at Aberdeen for 5 or so years. And for whatever reason, he's just taken it upon himself. He's got that extra little bit of bite about him when he's playing Aberdeen. I'm not sure whether that's because he's a Rangers fan. I know he was in the Rangers end last Thursday in the Europa League game. There's maybe a bit of Rangers Aberdeen about him with that. I'm not so sure. I'm not certain.
Well, it was nice.
On that note, actually, how do you feel about one of your players going to watch another team in the same league as you? How do you feel about that in terms of businesses competing against each other?
Honestly, not that bothered. Everyone knows that he's a Rangers fan. I would, let's say if I'd made it as a footballer and was playing at like St Johnstone and Hearts got to, I don't know, some stupid stage in Europe or a cup final, I'd want to go. So
yeah, I know, I appreciate that. I just think for myself, it's just a real lack of professionalism, and you can't be seen to support a competitor in the same league as you. I think the Old Firm, they're just the two cheeks of Scottish football that just bring the game into disrepute. Now, time after time after time, it's hard enough to compete with them anyway without having your own players at the game supporting them.
I would have an issue with that. Now I would, and I know even refs have teams they support and whatever, but I just think the optics of it. Hearts are having a poor season. Shankland's on a poor run of form. His motivation and attitude's been questioned, and there he is rolling up and getting selfies at Ibrox. Like, you need to think sometimes of the optics of that. Like,
read the room.
Had Hearts been clear in third, I don't think such an issue would be made of it. But sometimes you have to kind of pick your moments with that.
I don't think it's the wisest move. No, I'll give you that much. Personally, it doesn't bother me much. I can see why some people wouldn't like it, but it's not as if it was a secret that he was a Rangers fan.
We had the same issue with Niall McGinn, possibly Johnny Hayes as well, where they took it upon themselves to attend Celtic matches at Hampden and stuff like that, and I just felt, don't know how I feel about that. I'm not a big fan of supporting a competitor in the same league as you. I just mean that as a business point of view. You've signed a contract. You're playing with a team. Let's have a bit of professionalism about us, and watch the game with your family at home on the TV and stay out the media and all the nonsense.
Yeah, and I think it's disrespectful to the fans that are paying your wages. That's the way, if we're looking at it from a kind of business point of view. The fans are turning up, you're not performing, the team's not performing, and there you are at, essentially a rival club. Okay, it's not Hibs and Hearts, but still, you're going to Rangers and watching what is really a game that you can do without going to. What I mean? It's a cup final v Celtic.
Yeah. No. Listen, I get it. He definitely he could have watched the game at home, and
for me, it just showed a desperation for him at this moment in time. He just wants to be taken in by Rangers, and that just shows you how small a club Hearts are, that he thinks he can get away with that. Embarrassing, absolutely embarrassing. Anyway, moving on. Shankland, great moment of quality. Took the ball down, hammered it home. I thought he took it really well. Great moment of quality, and I probably shared a few swear words when he celebrated in front of us, but fair play to the guy. He enjoyed his moment, and that was the last moment he enjoyed in the game, I think, because after that, 44 minutes in, it's a red card. Topi Keskinen threw on goal. The speed, the agility, the athleticism, he's gone. Last man is Steinwinder.
Yep.
Well, this is going to Steinwind you up, because I thought at 24 years old, with the experience he has, you can't siphon down a player like that that's through on goal with the quality of Topi Keskinen. He's going to take another touch and he's just going to slot it home past the aging 42-year-old geriatric Craig Gordon, and it's another goal for Aberdeen. So I thought on that account, it's 100% a red card.
What do we think, Stuart?
Well, I don't think it's 100% a red card though. I get why it's given and then not overturned, but I think if it's a yellow, it doesn't get overturned either. There are two defenders running back. He's still about 40 yards from goal. He's obviously breaking forward. Is it an obvious goal scoring chance? I don't think so personally, but I get it. I'm a Hearts fan. I get it as a Hibs fan and an Aberdeen fan. You're going to see it otherwise. Um,
Trying to
it,
take
Would you have liked to have seen? Does he need to fly in like that in the position the
no.
ball was on in the pitch, or could he have just stood up, showed a bit of experience,
yeah,
and allowed his fellow defenders to try and track back at the same
no,
time? And
I
maybe
would.
allowed Craig Gordon to come forward and make a save. Who knows?
I know I would have done that if I was defending there. Yeah, I'd try and track the man, or at least just lean into him or something. But yeah, no, I mean, poor defending isn't a red card though. And again,
If we switch the tables,
yeah, yeah.
the ball gets played through from Devlin. Shanklin's onto it. He's
Well, one,
taken a touch. Shanklin's
Devlin's not
taken a
got,
touch through on
no,
goal,
no, because
and he
Devlin's
gets
not
taken
got that
down.
pass.
The main difference here is Shanklin doesn't have the pace or speed to get on and get a shot away. Topi Keskinen does, and that's the big thing.
And Devlin doesn't have that pass either, so that's another thing.
I think like trying to even take my green spectacles off here. It was unnecessary for the Hearts player to make that challenge. There is that. I think it's a goal scoring opportunity because I think you're right. I think his touch takes him towards goal. The pace he's going at, his next touch, he's getting a shot away, is the way I'd look at it. And it's just so unnecessary to do that because there's a lot to do for him to score still. It need a good finish.
Totally. If I take my red tinted glasses on.
Yeah, but his next touch after that one could be a poor touch. You know what I mean?
Correct.
How often do you see it? And he doesn't get his shot away.
If you give the referee, regardless of who it is, an opportunity to make a decision in a semi-final on a big pitch with a big crowd, you're playing with fire. And I thought it was very unnecessary for that defender of that age with that experience to commit that foul.
If I could then, so Rob, to jump on one of the phrases here, you said he's still got a lot to do to score. That
he does, but it's still a goal scoring opportunity.
Letter of the law, it's a goal. He's denied a goal scoring opportunity.
Obvious goal scoring opportunity again with a defender covering as well. But you even said yourself there's still quite a bit to do. That's why I think it's just a very strong yellow rather than a red. Personally,
unfortunately, we've not got orange cards.
I never said orange. I'm saying it's a strong yellow.
He's through on goal with his next touch,
but he still has a lot to do.
No, of course he's a lot to do, but that's on the Hearts player.
What on the flip side, if Steinwinder does connect with the ball and stops the player going through, all the Hearts fans are on their feet celebrating what a fantastic tackle. And this is what I'm talking about. It's tiny, tiny little margins, and he was probably 0.4 seconds away from it being a great challenge. You know?
Yeah, but even then, I don't think it's the right challenge to do. But again,
correct. But I think, like I
said
at the start, when you're at Hampden in a semi-final, the game's going to be decided on either moments of quality or defensive errors, and that was a defensive error. And he's given the opportunity for the referee and the VAR team to make a decision. And VAR was there; they've had a look at it as well, and they backed him up.
Can I ask the example that I gave that I think reframed a couple of people that I was speaking to about it was so he flies in. You're right. It's there's no need to do that. See if he grabs his shirt. If he just pulls his shirt and stops him from running, do you still think it's a red?
Yeah.
I think, and I'm going to say obviously, like you probably still say yes as Hibs and Aberdeen fans, but I think because it looks different, you're going to say no. Because
so psychologically, because you've seen a body lunge in with you could argue studs at an angle, that it's more red than if you just pulled him back.
No, I'm saying it. Yeah. Well, I don't know. I don't know.
I don't think. What my response to that was, I don't think Steinwinder was close enough to Keskinen to pull his shirt. I think it was a desperate lunge because Keskinen was away.
Maybe need to rewatch it to see that. But let's say hypothetically, let's say he grabbed his shirt. I don't think you're saying it's a definite red as much. I think you're saying yellow card.
That's an interesting point.
It's partly the Aberdeen fans' dramatic response to the tackle. That
we're clutching.
I'll take that aside. But I don't think you say it's a red if he grabs his shirt. And actually, that's the key thing here is he's not saying.
When I saw it live at the match, I thought it seemed very, very harsh. But I was at the other end.
Yeah.
And so I didn't quite see the line in I thought it would have been a yellow. because he had quite a distance from the goal. But when you look back, when I got home and saw the highlights, I did see it in more of a red light.
What I would, again, so, well, my point would be, I think if he does a foul that doesn't involve the player falling over, which I know it's not a dive, I'm
So
joking.
you're talking about introducing orange cards, I think, is where you're going with this. It's
Never
black and
mentioned,
white, yellow or red. You need to make your mind up.
never mentioned that at any point, but anyway. But actually, the point I was going to make, and this, I think this comes up a couple of times in the game, so twice in the first half already, is see anything that could go Hearts' way right now, it feels like it isn't. And that goal, as much as I've praised the delivery and the header, there's an alternative version of that where it doesn't hit Gordon on the way back out, and we clear it. There's an alternative version there, I think, where the ref does give a yellow and it doesn't get overturned because you look at the
Yeah,
defense.
and look, to be honest with you, I've been
Whether I'm right or wrong when I say that, it could have happened that way.
players going down to 10 men in the first half of a semi-final. It's not good for the game.
No,
Hearts fans are dejected. They're thinking this is an uphill struggle now. It ruins the game. You want 11v11. You want to have the best team winning, and from then on, it just became this siege up against the wall, 5 at the back, and the game of football then was just. It was
and that's all we can do. What I would say is, you must be disappointed with Aberdeen's response.
I think when you're playing against 5 at the back and you've got a man advantage, on paper you're thinking they should just go on and win this match with ease. But actually, Hearts, to be credit to them, defended, I thought, exceptionally well. They stopped the ball getting out wide to the sort of faster, more dangerous players. But it just seemed like we kept on trying to get the ball, move it, but it wasn't quick enough. It wasn't direct enough. It was always trying to play it out wide, try and cross it in and hope for the best. So yeah, no, I agree. Aberdeen certainly didn't capitalise in the way that you would have wanted them to. But I think that comes down to the fact, again, semi-final, KG, not wanting to lose the match. And remember, it's 1-1 at this point. It's not like we're 2-1 up. We're thinking if we push and Hearts get a break, which they did once or twice. And when when Hearts got the ball on the break, I think you'll remember, was it last season Aberdeen played Hibs at Hampden in the semi-final of the League Cup? Yeah. And we got Jack Milne got sent off. Not Jack Milne, Jack McKenzie got sent off for Aberdeen, and Aberdeen were down to 10 men against the Hibs. And actually, the way it worked out was that because Hibs were pressing forward to go for the win, Bojan Miovski picks the ball up on the halfway line, attacks Hibs on the break and scores, and Aberdeen win 1-0. So, I've seen it go both ways. Sometimes when you've got 10 men and you catch a team that are pressing, you catch them on the break, you concede.
No, I always say, unless I'm playing Rangers or Celtic or, the likes of Hearts and Aberdeen, if you're playing against a team that's struggling, you want to play 11v11. For example, when Hibs play against 10 men, we're terrible. We're much better when it's just 11v11 because like that. And I think, like looking at it, I'm not saying it suited Hearts because I actually thought Hearts played quite well. I think Aberdeen score against a run of play, Hearts get themselves back in it, and then as I said, he makes that stupid challenge, the Hearts boy. But I think it did kind of suit Hearts in terms of, right, we can just sit in now. The pressure's off us a bit now. 5 at the back, and we can just make life difficult.
I know what you're saying, Joe. I think rather than shooting Hearts, because as you say, would be in the better team. It made it an easy decision as to what to do next.
Exactly.
I know what you mean, though.
In a kind of cagey game, it did kind of suit. In terms of how Aberdeen played, I would be a bit disappointed, Dave, in terms of you didn't make use of the extra man. I thought, it was very predictable play.
They had that one clear chance where Gordon makes a good save. It was like in the box.
And even then, I was watching the game and I was just like, this is Pens and a Hearts win written all over.
I think when it's so obviously the second half, it just became that monotonous, repeated sort of Aberdeen press with the ball, do something, goes out, goal, and it just repeated. So the second half was very uncomfortable to watch. It wasn't enjoyable. It was very stressful. It was always going to extra time from then on for me, I thought. And then actually, again, we were chatting amongst ourselves, getting quite nervous at the prospect of Craig Gordon being in goals at Hampden, good statistics behind him. yeah, there was a lot of concern that Hearts would win on penalties. So yeah.
So two key things, and going into extra time. Certainly for me, the two big incidents. There's a red and there's a goal. Um, the red is harsh. The second yellow for Devlin is harsh. Player comes from the blind side. He's just trying to clear the ball.
Yeah.
I think
I mean,
Kenny,
this is where we'll probably agree. I've been in that situation. We've played together, we've played football. I am slow. I take a touch. I'm very slow. I turn like a U-boat. So when I've got the ball and I'm looking at the ball and I'm thinking I'm going to send this, we're up against, we're backs up against the wall. We're siege mentality, and I'm thinking I'm going to send this,
get
hoof
rid.
it up the pitch, get rid. And yeah, I feel if a player nips in front of you and makes contact with the ball and you kick that player when you're clearly trying to send the ball into row Z, for me, I thought that was very harsh. And at the time, I remember thinking, is it because Devlin's done a lot of other things in the match that have annoyed the referee? When I was watching him yesterday, I thought he was going around causing, very
That's
much
his,
how Shinnie does, just nips away at people, winds
yeah.
people up, puts in a couple of late tackles. I wonder if Beaton actually decided, do you know something? This is going to be a yellow because I want you off the pitch.
Well, that's exactly my point. That's poor refereeing if that's the case.
Mm-hmm. No, for me, I didn't think that was a yellow card in the incident in itself. I thought free kick, yes,
Oh, of
but no
course.
yellow card.
I mean, there's no.
Were there a few other times though that a yellow could have been shown to Devlin? That's the
I
argument.
mean,
It was a
Devlin.
cumulative.
Devlin
Because it was a
is a
foul. It
player,
was a
but
foul.
I mean, there's no doubt it's a foul.
Yeah.
Uh, I mean, I don't know because, like I say, that's the trouble with not seeing the whole thing from what who I've spoken to. I don't know, but Devlin is a combative midfielder. He will get involved in a few challenges. Well, the thing that really got me was, and you mentioned Shinnie. Shinnie went over and Devlin hurt himself because he kicked the bottom of the guy's boot. Shinnie actually went up and like shook his hand, got him up, and was like, "Aye, like no bother, big mate. These things happen." So even Shinnie wasn't getting involved to like have
Well,
a
it was Shinnie. If you look at people who are making tackles, getting fouled,
aye.
winning free kicks, Shinnie's number one, and he's very, very good at it. And actually, my man of the match for Aberdeen yesterday was Graham Shinnie. I thought he was excellent. I thought when you needed a player from the northeast to put his chest out, grab the game by the scruff of the neck, and tell all the players around him that Aberdeen are going to win this game, I thought it was Graham Shinnie. I thought he was excellent.
These
Yeah.
were rubbish. He did a pretty poor job.
And for all teams that play for all the teams outside the Old Firm, I don't think Graham Shinnie is the best footballer, but what he brings is an identity and an ethos to a
No, no.
group of foreign players, a lot of foreign players, obviously, that he can just remind them on the pitch what it means to play for Aberdeen. And I think Graham Shinnie is definitely our boy for that.
So to answer your question, Robert, I don't know. I've not seen enough about whether it's an accumulative thing. It didn't seem to be. I think referees normally sort of point to a few fouls. I didn't get that. I didn't have anyone else say that it seemed to be the case like that. So I don't know. I think it was harsh. It is also though in like the 118th minute or something like that. So it didn't affect the game massively. I know you.
Yeah, I think there was a feeling
later.
it was going to penalties. Like, just
Yeah.
let the game carry on. They're down to 10 men anyway. If you put them down to 9, it's just a bit of a why bother when there's 2 minutes to go. That was definitely my feeling. And after that decision, when Hearts have got 9 players, actually, if you look at the Aberdeen winner, it came from the area of the pitch. The direction Aberdeen travelled in was because they were missing a player in that position. Obviously Aberdeen again, they did the same thing they did the entire second half. They were just trying to get the ball across behind the defence, across the box for some sort of ricochet, some sort of moment where the ball might end up in the back of the net. No real quality, just hitting the ball at an angle. Craig Gordon makes a save again, and Daba somehow top of his foot hits the roof of the net, which he could have easily missed as well. Actually, if you look at the highlights, it was actually not the best finish in the world, but it hits the
I
back
didn't
of the onion bag and it sends Aberdeen into ecstasy because Hearts are not coming back after that. The wheels are completely off, and it is Joy Division. Love will tear us apart at this point. It is just Aberdeen are the greatest team in Europe again. MAGA.
From a Hibs point of view, it was nice to see Jamie McGrath, who's obviously coming
Yeah.
to Hibs in the summer, play a part. And I actually thought he was decent when he came on. in terms of his touches, and I know from having watched him over the last couple of seasons, he does have real quality. So from
Yeah,
him, it's nice to see him adding to
speaking.
Hearts' misery.
A sort of final stab in the back. Well, I'm sure you'll find more moments with McGrath at Hibernian causing similar situations. He's a very good player, very good on the ball, good passer, good mover. I think you pipped us to the signing. I think you got a 4-year contract at Hibs instead of a 3-year contract at Aberdeen. I also think there's a bit with players that living in Edinburgh is just a better lifestyle than maybe living in Aberdeen. It's probably similar to the Newcastle Sunderland situation
Yeah,
when players in England want to live in London. It's a very similar
absolutely.
demographic.
Yeah.
So for McGrath, no, I'm chuffed for him. He had a bad sort of shoulder injury, I think, before the winter break. So Aberdeen have looked after him. They've and all the best to the guy. I think he's a good player.
I'm sure you gave me a
Um,
bad shoulder injury once, Dave, at the links.
ju- ju-
Yeah, and
just
if I employed you, there would be no sick pay. I'd send you on your way. Give you your dollars.
just going back, guys, to that winner, and again, Stuart, it kind of fits into the what you were saying that when your chips are down, Gordon makes a save.
I know.
Sometimes there's not a striker there, but to be fair to Daba, he gambles. It's a type of goals I always like scoring in and about when something ricochets up. You have to be there, and it's
Fox in the box. Fox in the box.
it's an instinct thing that he is anticipating
Yeah.
Gordon making the save and the ball being there, and he's put himself there and he scored it. Very little Hearts can do with 9 men in terms of the way they shape up. I do think it's possibly they could go over because they had quite a bit in the box. They could go over and try and stop the cross, but that's very harsh considering they've got 9 men. So I think
They've
again,
also been,
fitting in when your chips are down, and Aberdeen had that terrible run where again things just don't fall your way. Hibs did as well. We had terrible VAR decisions. We had defenders kicking it in their own net. Just anything that can go wrong will go wrong, and that's kind of how I feel with Hearts right now. That was a game Aberdeen didn't really show up. That was a game, take the mistakes out of it, where Hearts could have really capitalised and put themselves in a final. But
I don't. I mean, Hearts for me have it. I mean, aside from Steinwender putting in a bit of a silly challenge, I don't think we've made massive mistakes. Like Gordon's not made a mistake for the own goal, the rebound that falls from Aberdeen play. We've not made mistakes here. Oh,
defensively, it was an easy header for
I know.
Papagate to make,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
it gave Aberdeen the ascendancy and
No,
took the game away from Hearts going down to 10 men. So
no. I know you.
they
I
are
know.
mistakes.
No, I know. But what I'm saying is, what I was going to say was, it's not a game like we played with mistakes. And actually, Hearts, it's similar to the Dundee United game. We played well until, the minute you lose a man, you're up against it. And that's exactly it. So yeah, I've actually written down for me things that could have gone differently on Saturday, but didn't. Whether you think it's the right or wrong decision, Gordon's own goal, whether it's last man or denying of a goal scoring opportunity, the Devlin red for me is a definite mistake from the ref, and then the rebound falling to an Aberdeen man.
Can I ask a quick question on the goal that Daba scores to win the game? Is that Craig Gordon's last save in professional football? Is it his last? It's certainly his last save at Hampden Park.
Well, so you're asking, do I think he's going to retire? I'm pretty sure he'll make it one save in the last 5 games of the league. But
It's
is it his
beautiful
last
that
save?
Aberdeen. It's
No, he's
beautiful.
still.
It's beautiful that Aberdeen managed to be part of that moment. I just think that's great.
Well, he's still Scotland's number one, and it's nice to know that he bothers you that much. And the Aberdeen goalie, whatever the Aberdeen's goalie's name is, I'm sure he'll go on to maybe have a decent career.
No, the truth is, if you look at the whole of the game and you watch all the lengthy highlights, Craig Gordon actually made 2 or 3 quite important saves, which actually shows you Aberdeen were the more attacking, better team on the. If you look at the statistics,
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
you had more men for most of the game. What do you expect?
Gordon's save where he actually manages not only to save it but to hold it as well. Like
yes.
most keepers in the league are parrying that, and
Well, and this is what I'm getting back to. When Daba scores, is it because he's 42 that he doesn't catch it as well and just decides to parry it?
That was not. No, listen. I
Is
know
it
you're. I know you're trying to back me up. I know you're trying to back me up. But that's the thing. Gordon didn't have a lot of saves to make, and that's what makes me think Aberdeen could have done better.
But in the end, Stuart, and Hibs have played well. That the game you mentioned last season, we actually played really well in that semi-final. You don't go through, and in the end, that's what it's about. For me, looking at it again, Stuart, and we've covered it in the podcast. It's another big game for Critchley and Hearts that you failed to win, and that would be my alarm bells. As you know, you played an Aberdeen side that's they weren't brilliant yesterday, but again, Hearts didn't win the game. You've not done enough to get yourselves in the next round, and that's.
No, and I think that's you've hit the nail on the head. I think Hearts fans were making a big deal about this being the battle of the third biggest club in Scottish football, and when it boils down to it, the bigger team won the occasion.
Stuart, your thoughts on the comments?
I know you're trying to back me up. I mean, the fact that you both need hats that say "Make your clubs great again," I don't. I don't need that.
You might well. The season's not over yet, Stuart.
All I'll say is, this is a blip. We've finished above both clubs more often than not in my lifetime. We've won more derbies at Easter Road than Hibs have. Aberdeen haven't finished third since about 1942 or something like that.
Incorrect.
They finished second, did they not?
Second, 2 seasons on the bounce. Yeah,
I'm joking. Without a Rangers in the league, no, there's no doubt that Hearts have been the third force in my lifetime, and that's easy to live with. But listen, good luck to you. Good luck to you both in the battle for third. May Dundee United win.
And on that, guys, I guess we concentrated on the semi-final, and obviously as a Hibs fan, I was very much in the red corner, because it's one thing Aberdeen going up to Hampden, and if Aberdeen finish below us, and if we manage to beat Celtic, if Aberdeen beat Celtic in that final, even if they finish fourth, they deserve to take our group stage spot. They can have it. We did not want Hearts doing that. We did not want Hearts having the last lap of this season.
Why don't I get you a ticket for the final? You can come along with me.
Yeah. I mean, I might not go that far, but I was obviously delighted, and we've obviously had our own fair share of Hampden heartache as well. So it was quite nice to see Hearts losing a valiant effort. 190th minute. Anyway, it was nice. It was sweet. So let's look ahead to next week.
I have one quick question. What do Hibs know about valiant efforts at Hampden? You've had the Hampden heartache, I'll give you. I don't know about valiant efforts, though.
Well, we did win the Scottish Cup.
Yeah, but that's not heartache. The valiant effort, I don't know. I've never seen that from Hibs.
Well, we were 2-1 down with 10 minutes to go, and we managed to win 3-2.
That's the one you won.
I'm saying that's a valiant effort.
Your valiant effort
against the firm.
Your valiant effort that led to heartache. Let's hear about that.
So anyway, let's move on. So the big teams are playing this weekend for big prizes. Aberdeen.
Yeah, what you mean is Hearts are battling to avoid relegation. The big teams like Hibs and Aberdeen are in the top 6, going for European places.
Exactly, and going for what would be, for either club, a fantastic end to the season. I don't think Dundee United are going to have enough. Now, I might be wrong, and they might 1-0 it to the end of the season. But I think it's between Hibs and Aberdeen. I think looking at this game before we get into kind of our predictions, it's a must-win for Aberdeen. Hibs, I would probably take a draw. And the reason I would is because we're 3 points ahead and we have a better goal difference. I don't see Aberdeen beating Rangers or Celtic, which leaves the Dundee United, St Mirren, and this game, obviously. I think if Hibs win, it's over. If Hibs win and we effectively get a 7-point gap with our goal difference, I'd be confident saying we've got third place. If Aberdeen win, 2 seconds, David. If Aberdeen win, it's all back on. It's all back on the cards. A draw, I would probably take at Pittodrie.
Just quickly on that, Dave, before we come to you, Robert McLeod there just said he would take a draw. That is a we team mentality. That is a small club statement.
Yeah. Do you know something? I was at Easter Road when Esther Saltcliffe scored the overhead kick to go 3-2 up. I was lying on the ground with several fans on top of me when Hibs equalised. When Hibs equalised, was it Rocky?
Rocky Bashiri.
He single-handedly changed the fortunes
Yeah.
of the manager and the football
Yeah.
club and sent Hibs on unprecedented run of form. I think Aberdeen trampolined Hibs back into the big leagues.
Well, yeah, I think that I didn't see it coming. I thought that that would be the end for Gray, which everyone's saying it probably was. But what I would say is Hibs weren't as bad as what we showed. We're probably not as good as what we're showing now. We're overperforming now, whereas we were underperforming below. I think we're probably somewhere in the middle.
Yeah.
But one thing I would say is that it may suit us that Aberdeen have to win. You guys have to come at us. I do think you this will be a game that Aberdeen will be looking at and thinking, want to beat Hibs run. Obviously, you want to the battle for third place. That this is a must win for Aberdeen. Do you agree, Dave?
Totally agree. I'm looking at the fixture list just now. So Hibernian this Saturday at home. If we fail to win that and get 3 points, and we've got 1 point, we then go to St Mirren away, which our record there is miserable.
Yeah.
So we probably struggle to come out with even a point there. We then got Rangers away, 0 points. We've then got Celtic at home, most likely get beaten by Celtic. And then we've got Dundee United away, and Jim Goodwin would love nothing more in Jim Goodwin's life. A bit like Shanklin that way. Jim Goodwin and Shanklin probably call each other to talk about how much they hate Aberdeen. Jim Goodwin would love to win that game as well. So, and also, we are now preserving our squad and team for the biggest day of the season, which is on the 24th of May at Hampden. That's what big teams do. So I think we'll put players that are maybe struggling with little niggles and injuries to one side, because that game's absolutely massive. But yeah, I totally agree. And look, on the back of that, if you look at league table, there's minimal points between third place and 10th in the league. It's the season's based on small margins, and that's where I do feel for the likes of Critchley and almost David Gray, or Sir David Gray as you call him, where things could have been so different. If David Gray gets the sack and then the Hibs are looking for a manager, who do you replace him with? And they're out there struggling and searching for somebody, and that could have left Hibs in a really bad, vulnerable situation, I think. So delighted that David Gray managed to steer the ship. It's good to see a Scottish manager doing so well. I like that as well. And yeah, Hibs have been getting great results against Old Firm, which is always great to see. So I think, on the face of it, if you look at the whole season as a whole, I think Hibs deserve the third place, and I think they'll get it.
So, well, actually, I was just about to ask that. I know who you both want to finish third. So, Dave, your prediction is that Hibs do finish third.
I think Hibs finish third. I think Aberdeen finish fifth, but win the Scottish Cup.
I think Aberdeen finish fourth. I don't see Dundee United doing anything with these last few games. They're a terrible team. They're so bad, but they just keep getting these 1-0 Dalby header wins. But I think Hibs will do it. Now that may change after this weekend. I do think if Aberdeen manage to beat Hibs this Saturday, then it's all back.
Are you describing this fixture very much as a decider, a sort of 6-pointer in that way?
Yeah, yeah. I think if it goes back down to Aberdeen and Hibs on joint points and it's only goal difference, it's a real toss-up. It could come down to the end of the season. But I think if Hibs get a 6-point gap, effectively 7, or even if we get a draw and we keep it effectively at 4 points, I don't see Hibs losing enough points and Aberdeen winning enough to kind of overturn that. So I think this is a must win for Aberdeen. It's a must not lose for Hibs.
Yeah, no.
Whichever one of you do get into Europe, let me know. Lots of Hearts fans have lots of air miles racked up from the last few years and loyalty points on booking.com. We can help you guys out, tell you some nice places to go.
Robert, I thought, Hun tiers taste good, but Diet Hun tiers just taste that little bit sweeter.
They do. They certainly do. Stuart, what's your prediction for Hibs Aberdeen score wise?
No, both teams terrible.
Okay, Dave.
I think Hibs will beat Aberdeen 2-1.
Okay, I'm going for a 2-2 draw. I think it's going to
Ooh.
be high. I think it's going to be a really good game for once. I think Aberdeen are going to have a go. I think Hibs are best when we're on the counter attack when teams come at us. And I think it's going to be 2-2.
If you're looking at it from an Aberdeen perspective, there's actually we don't have anything to lose. Added by the fact that I think because Hearts are now out of the Scottish Cup, positions 1 to 5 all get some sort of European opportunity. So it's not a big, coming whether you come third is obviously financially the big golden ticket, isn't it? I mean, Hearts fans will tell you the money that they make because they don't make any money selling players like Aberdeen and Hibs do. They really, really do need that money. So actually, Hearts not making top 6. It'll be interesting to see the sort of financial difficulty they'll find themselves in. Obviously, there's no sell-on value for Shanklin now. So it'll be interesting to see what mess, a yo-yo club like that can find themselves in.
And Stuart, who have Hearts got this weekend?
Who cares? Who cares?
So Dave, you're going
Yeah,
for. I'm backing a 2-2. You're backing a Hibs win. You're backing a 0-0, Stuart. And Hearts have. Are you? Is it County or
home to Dundee.
you're at home to Dundee? So lose that, and we may be having a different conversation next week, Stuart.
Sure.
And I'm not getting the rod out there. I'm saying
No.
if Hearts lose that, in all seriousness, you're in a relegation battle. That's just facts.
I think I think Hearts fans, once they settle down after the semi-final loss and realise, there is a real danger of a relegation battle. I think there's as soon as the fans turn on each other like they are, players are looking to join Rangers. There's a horrible feeling of will the wheels fully come off and get themselves relegated down to the Championship?
And it can happen. It can happen where players just down tools. You've nothing to play for. And
One eye on their holidays. They're not going
yeah.
to be here next season. Craig Gordon's going to a nursing home in Morningside. It's got all the recipe, all the ingredients for another relegation, which I think Hearts have been relegated more times than any other Scottish team in the top flight in the last 10 years.
I don't know about that. We've been relegated once in the last 10 years. In the last 10 years, once.
Oh, right. Yeah. I guess.
Anyway, once from administration and once from the season finishing after 29 games. Yeah, well, what do you expect? What we need to hope is that there's a team with an ineligible stadium to come up to the top league, Dave, and see if Hearts can survive.
No, of course. Look, the basic stats are very tight between Hearts and Aberdeen. I think Aberdeen have won 17 domestic league trophies. Hearts have won 16 domestic league trophies. It is very close. The one statistic that I always tell, look, because all my friends are Hearts fans, well, not many friends left, but the big statement I'll always tell any Hearts fan that actually believe that they think Hearts is a bigger club is that Aberdeen are the last team to defeat Real Madrid in a European final.
Why is that your metric for what makes a big club?
I just think the size of that statement, the how big a statement that is. Hearts just don't have a fact to even compete with that statement.
We don't need it. We've got more third place finishes recently. We've got the same amount of league titles as you. We've got 4 each.
We've got 4 each in the league. We've got 6 League Cup wins for Aberdeen, 4 for Hearts. 7 Scottish Cup wins to Hearts, 8. It's very close, but we've won the Cup Winners' Cup. We've won the Super Cup. At one point, Aberdeen were the greatest team in Europe.
Were you at those games, Dave?
I personally, but if we're talking about the history and size of the club, those are big facts. You can't strip Aberdeen of titles. We've not gone into administration. Our club is very much still alive and always has been. I think Hearts and Rangers fall into the category of, are they a real company? Are they a real, legitimate, limited company ran well?
Well, yeah, famously, we saved our clubs. The largest fan-owned club in...
Yeah, no, a big fan of that. I am a big fan of that, and I do use that statistic when speaking to Rangers fans. So yeah, no.
This season, guys, we're going to find out who is currently the best team out with the Old Firm, and I think we're going to find that out on Saturday. So it's a massive game. As I said, anytime I've doubted the Hibs on this run, Stuart will tell you they've proven me wrong. So I'm not going to doubt them. I think we will get a positive result. I don't think we'll lose. Well capable of winning.
What is Hibs? What are the statistics with Hibs at Pittodrie in the last season or two? Is it a happy hunting ground?
I don't have them, but I think it's very much up. I think it's pretty much 50-50. I don't have them to hand, but just off the top of my head,
I think the one thing that will separate the teams is a feel-good factor at Hibs. Aberdeen have probably got less to lose, so they might go for it a little bit more. But I think you're right. I think there'll be goals from both teams, and it should make for a good game. It should make for a good game. But I think Hibs will come out on top, if I'm honest.
the one thing is we will have had an extra week's rest as well. Now, sometimes that's good, sometimes it's bad. But, we've got another week into the likes of Nicky Cadden as well. He didn't start our last game. He's a huge player. Like you were saying, Leighton Clarkson is for Aberdeen. Cadden is so integral to the way we play. And, he can score himself, but he can also create as well. So any crosses, any set pieces, he is going to put it in very dangerous areas. And looking at that Aberdeen keeper on Saturday, I think we'll be licking our lips.
Yep, no, totally agree. Totally agree with you there. I was going to hit on my point where I had my most obnoxious David moment at Hampden on Saturday. I took it upon myself to go up to a family of Hearts fans, father, mother, two children. I approached them and I said, "Excuse me, guys. Sorry for bothering you. Would you be able to give me directions to the bottom six?" Which, a little bit of laughter with the Dons fans I was walking with, but it resulted in the father of the group shouting, "F off, you lanky prick," which I thought was, equally deserved. So I thought you'd enjoy that one.
That's a nice one.
Dave, I would expect nothing. I'd expect nothing less, and I'd say you've brought that attitude very much onto the podcast with a GB News like account of the game, with hyperbole, made up facts, and provocative questions. I'm not saying, but that's exactly what we love.
That's what podcasts are all about.
The man they love to hate has returned.
This will get the biggest number on the dark web, biggest number of views. Dave, genuine, all joking aside, mate, thanks for coming on. Fair play, you're in the final. So, but actually, I think, Rob, to be fair, I know maybe I might have implications for Hibs, but actually, would probably say good luck to any team playing the Old Firm in the cup final.
If it didn't take away our third place, and obviously I'm going to be selfish.
Sure.
But what I would say is, if Aberdeen do beat Celtic, they're going for a treble. If they do beat them, then regardless of where Hibs finish, Aberdeen deserve that, because Celtic are going to give it their all. They're going for a treble. They'll be full strength. And if Aberdeen beat them on that day, on that occasion, then fair play to them. You've got to hold your hands up. But I don't want it to happen for selfish reasons for Hibs.
I think you look at it, and it's a massive challenge. It's everything's against you. You're going to Glasgow. It's a 10-minute, 20-minute walk for all the Celtic fans, the team. It's their back garden. The officials are on their side. It is very much Aberdeen against the world, which is where we like to be. Very much up against it, and anything can happen in any given game. However, it is a mammoth task. You look at them against Johnston yesterday, and they were lethal. Any mistake, they are onto it. They'll take advantage of it, and they have that winning, relentless nature about them, which it could become a 4-5-6-7-0 if Aberdeen play the way they did against Hearts. It's not good enough, and it does need to get better.
And Dave, you've seen how the officials can hand a victory to an inferior team as well. So
I would take last season's showing though against Celtic as a bit of motivation in the fact that on any given day you can overcome the odds and you can beat a better team. So I would say anything can happen, but I don't see it. I see a treble for Celtic. I called it a long time ago that they're just so far ahead that the likes of Maeda and these players, they're in a different league. So,
and I also think with Hampden, it's a big pitch. It creates a lot of space for players like your Maedas. They're just so fast. They're technically so good that they can they can just run riot on that pitch. It's a great surface. It suits them.
You're going to need the Celtic defenders to do what the Hearts defenders did on Saturday and give the initiative to the other team with a stupid tackle.
Yeah, making a mistake. And it can happen, but I think over the course of 90 minutes, it's going to be a very, very, very long, drawn-out affair. Look, hopefully it'll be a later kickoff, 2 o'clock or 3 o'clock, so that Aberdeen fans can actually enjoy the day out before the football starts. That's the way I look at it.
Very good.
Right, guys, we'll call it there. Dave, thanks for coming on, for giving up your time, mate, to pop on. Great to see you, even if you were just here.
No problem. No problem at all. It's been a very enjoyable experience and good to catch up with you again, guys.
Thanks, Dave, and thanks for the sponsorship as well.
No problem.
Folks, we'll see you all next week. Thank you very much.